Now listen to these melodic marvels.
Jeszcze. Szczypce.
Szczęście.
Dudownica.
Szczękościsk.
Przestępstwo.
Niewdzięczność.
Współodpowiedzialność.
50-groszówka.
99-letni.
O kurwa. 999 narodu właściwego. Each one of these is a real word and not one of them has to be spelled that way, except for maybe this one.
So Polish is obviously a unique language. It's one of the few languages in the world that make people both laugh and cry at the same time. You all might be familiar with this sound combination, which is very common in the Polish language. These are sounds sh, ch, and zh. They're called digraphs, and you could make a joke that a third of all words in the Polish language have those sounds. You could joke if it weren't true. See, we took all words in the Polish dictionary and counted how many of them have at least one of those sounds. 29.3% of all words contain these digraphs, and more than 36% contain some sort of digraphs. That is quite a number. So, as it happens in many languages, it would be logical to add diacritics. These are the little signs added to the normal letters, and thus create new letters, like for instance in Ukrainian. Ukrainian has a specific letter for the sound sh, and it also has a letter for each one of these. So the words look much neater. And it's not just Ukrainian. A lot of Slavic languages have come up with their symbols as well. So Polish came up with its own affricate letters too. Oh wait, it didn't. Poles just decided that it makes more sense to keep it the way it is.
Hey. Didn't they try? I think that's how Czech got its neat writing too.
Well, you see, before the 16th century, Czech was even worse. Czech and Polish are closely related. Both of them are very rich in ch and sh type sounds, and both of them use the Latin alphabet to describe those sounds. But in the 1500s, the printing press appeared, and Czech decided that they would just be wasting paper and ink and switched to using diacritics. Poles, on the other hand, decided that 4 letters where one would do was fine. The trees would understand. Instead, they just added another set of letters, not to express the old ones, but to express a different version of those letters. Then, in the 19th century, Czechia went through another spelling reform and is still written like that to this day. And Poland? Well, Poland was split amongst 3 different countries, so it was pretty much impossible to establish a single standard for the language spelling, so naturally they didn't change anything. Interestingly enough, at this point Russia tried to move Polish to Cyrillic. Now, it did contain the zh, ch, sh, and sh letters, but Russia didn't care about the correctness of the spelling, and it was a lot more illogical than the original Latin writing. For instance, they also took the silent hard sign from Russian for every word that ends in a hard consonant. We did another calculation. 30.2% of Polish words end in a hard consonant. Now look, as we talked before, 29.3% of the words contain these digraphs, so they fixed that. Now they added an extra sign to the other 30. Was it worth it? I don't think so. Polish was banned in public places. Children were taught to write their own language in someone else's alphabet. After that, changing the spelling meant conceding something to an occupier. And this isn't a 19th century problem. A similar thing is happening in Europe right now, just in a different country. By the way, as you might have noticed, some Slavic languages use Cyrillic writing, while others use Latin, and it's quite unclear why. Comment sh if you want that video. So after the First World War, Poland finally got its integrity back, and they finally get to reform the language. Oh wait, actually they didn't touch the letters that every foreigner was asking about. Instead, they deliberately left these alone. And it seems like they're not planning on doing that in the nearest future.
What? Why?
Well, you see, in the 16th century, Polish actually acquired a bit of those diacritics, just like Czech, but it did that only for the soft versions of the sounds that didn't have a writing form before. For many foreigners, it's very hard to distinguish between płacz and płacz, or wiesz and wieś, but the two are obviously different sounds. And honestly, how do they do that? Replacing the sh would collide with the existing sh sound. And the same applies to all other letters. Not only are they hard to distinguish by hearing, but now reading would get even harder. Alright, I might be going too far here. Nothing is harder than this. And by the way, let's also discuss the biggest Polish language meme in the world.
Name und Vorname?
Grzegorz Brzęczyszczykiewicz. Brzęczyszczykiewicz. Grzegorz. Brzęczyszczykiewicz.
The Polish guy is torturing the German officer on purpose. This is how Grzegorz Brzęczyszczykiewicz would be written in German, yeah. And for the reference, this is Czech. This year, Poland went through another spelling reform, and it's the biggest change since 1936. But the changes don't affect what they call the historical rules. After so many years, the writing of the hardest sounds is still intact. It's their history that dug in deeper, especially after the empire tried to change it outright. If you liked the video, you should probably check out this one too. See you in the next one. Bye bye.